The movie starts with an ex-Special Forces soldier named Levon. Levon wakes up in his car, and it shows that he considers his car his home. After that, he gets out of the car and opens the gate of the site where he works. We learn here that Levon works as a foreman for a construction company. It appears that the workers love Levon very much and respect him, to the degree that one of them gives him food his wife made specifically for Levon, so Levon thanks him. After that, he talks to the workers and keeps encouraging them, letting them know that today they have a lot of work and they must finish it on the scheduled time. And he promises them that if that happens, he will give them a bonus. He leaves them to do their work and enters the office, where he greets Carla and Joe, the owners of the company. Their daughter Jenny is with them, and she's the one handling the accounts. It's clear through their talk with Levon that they consider him one of the family. At that time, Jenny asks Joe to give her his credit card so she can spend from it because she's going out with her friends tonight. Levon smiles when Joe responds to Jenny, telling her that he doesn't want her to go out and spend too much money. But in the face of her persistence, Joe finally agrees and gives her the card. At that moment, Levon sees a car stopping at the site, and people get out who look like they are a gang. They hit the worker who brought Levon breakfast, so Levon tries to talk to them calmly so they leave the worker and go away. But one of them insults him and tells him to stay out of it. Levon gets angry and throws nails at them and hits them with great strength and extreme violence. At that time, the worker is collapsing from what Levon did, but Levon checks on him, leaves him, and goes back to finish his work. Afterward, Jenny goes to Levon, and it shows that she saw him while he was fighting. She asks him if he was a soldier in the army because the moves he made during the fight show that he is a professional. She tells him that her grandfather was a former soldier in the army, and she saw him doing those same moves before. She asks him to teach her a few moves so she can defend herself, but Levon ignores her words and asks her not to mention what happened in front of her father and mother. Jenny agrees and gives him food, telling him that her grandmother made it specifically for him because her grandmother knows Levon lives alone and has no one to make food for him. Levon takes the food from her and asks her to thank her grandmother. After Levon finishes work, he goes to visit his daughter Mary, and he is shocked when he finds her grandfather Jordan throwing a party on the same day he is supposed to take her. This is to make Mary refuse to go out with Levon. But that doesn't happen. Mary runs and hugs Levon and goes to get in his car. At that time, Jordan appears and talks to Levon in a bad way, saying that he is not comfortable when his granddaughter is with him because he is a troublemaker and trouble always follows him. He says that because of the acts of rioting and violence that fill his life, his wife paid the price and died. Jordan tries to provoke Levon to make him hit him so he can exploit the situation in court and take custody of his daughter from him. But Levon controls his nerves and tells him that he is not to blame for his wife's death, and he leaves him and goes. Afterward, Levon takes Mary, and they go to have lunch together in a restaurant. There he gives her a gift, and the gift is a photo of her with her mother. Mary tells him that she is sad at her mother because she died and left them, and tells him that her grandfather gathered all her mother's photos and put them away. It shows at that time that Levon is sad because of his wife's death. Afterward, Levon goes to his lawyer's office and tells him about Jordan's behavior with him. The lawyer tells him that Jordan has a large team of lawyers and they are doing everything in their power to win the custody case of his daughter. The lawyer is wondering why Jordan hates Levon to this degree. Levon tells him that Jordan thinks he is the reason for his wife's death and tells him that his wife died because she got depression because he was away from her all the time due to his work, until she finally decided to hurt herself. The lawyer offers Levon to talk to Jordan and fix things between them because he sees that Jordan will win the custody case, especially since Levon doesn't have a residence, and this will be a primary reason for him losing the case. Levon gets angry and refuses to settle with Jordan. He gives money to the lawyer to continue working on the case and tells him that he will find a solution to the housing problem as soon as possible. Night comes and Jenny goes out with her friends. They go to spend the evening in a bar. At that time, Jenny goes to the bar and asks the bartender named David for a table for her and her friends. He tells her that if she tells him her name, he will tell her about a table in a special spot. Jenny tells him her name and finds out the location of the table and goes back to her friends. At that moment, David sends a message to a guy named Viper, and this Viper works in a human trafficking gang. As soon as the message reaches Viper, he takes his colleague Artie and they go to the bar quickly. In that moment, one of Jenny's friends gets tired from drinking too much, so Jenny takes her and goes with her to the bathroom, telling her she will wait for her in front of the door until she finishes. As soon as Jenny leaves the bathroom, Viper attacks her, covers her mouth, and kidnaps her. The next day, Carla and Joe meet Levon, and they find out that Jenny has been missing since last night and that her friends say she disappeared suddenly after she entered the bathroom in the bar. Joe asks Levon to stand by them and look for her in his capacity as a former soldier in the Army who has a background in dealing with subjects like this. Levon tells him that he quit that work a long time ago because he could lose custody of his daughter if he gets involved in any acts of violence. Joe offers him a lot of money and tells him to take it and look for his daughter. But despite that, he refuses, leaves him, and goes. Afterward, Levon goes to his friend Johnny in his house in the forest. We understand through their talk together that Levon saved Johnny's life in a military mission they were in together, but unfortunately, Johnny lost his sight at that time. Despite that, he carries a favor for Levon because he saved his life. At that time, Levon tells Johnny about Jenny and what happened to her. It's clear that Levon wants to save her because he really loves her like his daughter, besides the fact that he promised her before that he would stay by her side. But he is confused and afraid that he will lose custody of his daughter. Johnny encourages him to save Jenny no matter the consequences. Levon listens to his words and goes back again to Joe, who is sitting watching a video of Jenny playing the piano and is sad. At that time, Levon learns from Joe that Jenny had received a scholarship to study music, but she refused so she could help him in work. Levon reassures him and promises him that he will look for his daughter and won't return until he finds her. Afterward, he takes his car and starts gathering information about Jenny's movements on the day she was kidnapped. He reaches the bar where she was spending the evening before she was kidnapped. There he sees David selling contraband to the people there without anyone seeing him. Levon deduces that David has a connection to Jenny's disappearance. Levon exits through the back door of the bar, and there he discovers that the camera wire is cut. He searches the place and finds a bead that fell from Jenny's necklace. He understands that she was kidnapped and was resisting those who kidnapped her. At the end of the night, David closes the bar and gets in his car. It appears that Levon put a tracking device in the car and is following David. Levon manages to open the door of the house without David feeling him. At that time, David is shocked when he finds Levon entering with a weapon in his hand. He takes his pistol from him before he reaches it. Levon pulls out Jenny's photo and asks him about the people who kidnapped her. David tells him that he doesn't know anything about the subject and also says that he told the police everything and he has no more words to say. But Levon knows he is lying, so he takes him to the bathroom, puts him in the bathtub, covers his face, and turns the water on him. Here David tells him that the people who kidnapped Jenny are very dangerous people and advises him not to look for her because if they find out, they will kill his whole family. But Levon ignores his words and asks him to tell him the name of one of them. In this moment, two of David's acquaintances arrive and call out to him. As soon as David hears their voices, he screams loudly so they save him. They grab Levon and he walks in front of them and exits the bathroom. At that time, those two open fire without hesitation and kill David. Levon shoots them and finishes them off. Afterward, he takes the money that was with them. When he sees the tattoos on their bodies, he knows they belong to the Russian Mafia. Levon stays standing in a place near David's house until the next day. He sees at that time two people getting out of a car, and with them is their boss named Volo. Levon monitors them until they enter David's house. Inside the house, Volo gets angry when he sees his men dead in front of him. When he discovers the money is missing, he understands this is a robbery. He asks his men, Danny and Vanko, to find the person who did this as soon as possible. At this moment, Levon sees a cleaning company car, and two girls get out to clean David's house of the corpses and hide the traces of the crime that happened. At that time, Volo exits with Danny and Vanko. They get in the car and leave the place quickly. Levon follows them in his car until they reach Volo's house. Levon stands in a place near the house, takes his equipment from the car, and goes to hide between the trees. He monitors Volo's house and sees him at that time hitting his wife. After his wife leaves, Levon enters the house. As soon as he sees Volo, he pours coffee on his face, hits him, and he faints. When Volo wakes up, he finds Levon has tied him to a chair and has him bound with a rope over the swimming pool. At that time, Levon removes the tape from Volo's mouth and asks him if he knows who he is. Levon answers him and says that he knows him well and also knows that he works for the Russian Mafia gang. Volo explains to him that he made a big mistake when he killed his men and stole his money, and this will make his life turn into hell and his whole family will die. But Levon doesn't care about his words and isn't afraid. He hits him on the face and lets him know that this is his punishment for hitting his wife. Afterward, he throws in his face the money he took from David's house and tells him that he doesn't need his money for anything. He shows him Jenny's photo and tells him that he wants this girl to return to her family and lets him know that she was kidnapped in the bar where they distribute contraband. Here, Volo gets angry and talks about a person named Dimi and keeps saying words in the Russian language. Levon tells him that he doesn't understand anything he's saying and asks him to hand over Jenny and he will let him live. But Volo gets angry at Levon and insults him, so Levon cuts the rope and lets him drown in the swimming pool. As soon as Levon exits the house, he pulls out his phone, and it appears he was recording Volo's words and is translating them to understand them. At that time, he finds out that Dimi is the one behind Jenny's disappearance. After a while, the cleaning company comes and removes Volo's corpse and hides the traces of the crime. At the same time, Simon, Volo's brother, arrives. At that time, we find out that Danny and Vanko are Simon's sons. They console him on his brother's death. Simon enters the house sad about his brother's death. Afterward, he sees the camera recordings where Levon appears while he is killing Volo. Simon is very surprised by Levon's boldness and wants to know the reason that made him kill his brother. Simon asks his sons to bring Levon alive because he wants to take revenge on him himself.